So, Robert, we can continue from the last time that we talked, and this time that you're saying that you're actually putting some effort in then to practice to remember.
Yes. Yeah, I'm not just like letting it be, whenever I remember to do it, I'll do it because I find that doesn't really work for me. Then I'll remember to do it and try to do it and
Well,
try to do it and
it
try to do it.
it does once you get the rhythm going,
Yes.
but you have to put that time in that we can call seclusion time, and that we need to build that up. And so this is one of the reasons why it's better to practice several times a day for short times rather than a long time once a day. Is because you're starting to develop that remembrance to go practice. And so I would recommend that you start doing that formally, and then the gaps will fill in. But you need to keep that rhythm going. And so I'd say the first time to start it is when you're still in bed in the morning,
Okay.
before you get out of bed. You
Yeah.
start thinking about, wow, this is really nice. I could lay here and take a deep breath and just enjoy this moment. It's so nice.
Yeah. Yes. Thanks.
Okay. Do that for about 5 or 10 minutes. And then later, let us say it depends upon how you get to work, but during the transportation to work, even if it's driving a car, you can do that in the sense of, all right, I'm going to watch every breath and I'm going to stay mindful and I'm going to practice while I am watching the road and the surroundings. That part of the practice is visual contact. And so that gives you another opportunity. And then lunch is a time for mindful eating. And so we pay close attention to what the food is doing in the mouth. It's all in the breathing and what kind of thoughts that we're having. Thoughts of gratitude for the food. Wow, isn't this good nourishment? Etc. like that. So now we've got what, 4 times a day already set out. Then going back home during transportation, if you're sitting on a ferry or a train or a bus or whatever, that makes it all the easier, but you can still mindfully drive, intentionally so. And so at night, when you get into bed, that's the best time to practice. A lot of people say, oh, I practice meditation before I go to bed. And I'm saying that in bed is the best time to do it, is to get in there and really relax and really enjoy the moment. No place to go and nothing to do. And I can just lay here in the bed and just enjoy it. Wow, this feels so good. But we're actually doing that by intention and plan, to start taking those times a day, or whichever ones that you would like to choose. You get about 5, 6, 7 of them. 6 is a good number. 6 times a day, 10 minutes. That's only an hour. But look how many times we're really putting the effort into doing it for 10 minutes.
Thank you. Thanks. That's going to be my plan going forward then. Yeah, that's a really good point, especially about eating meditations. I already know about that, but I never actually do it. I'm always like watching something while I'm eating and just
Hmm.
being distracted, and that's like a perfect opportunity because there's like a whole sense store there that never gets used. I'd never normally use.
Hmm.
Um, another thing that I've is like there's like different kinds of wholesome states that I'll get into where I'll have like, let me think how to explain. So like one of them is like a productive state. So I'm like in a really productive, focused mood, but I'm in a
Hmm.
good mood, but I'm like energized and I'm like very desirous. Like I'm really trying to like get something done and I'm really strongly motivated and desiring like the goal of the task, completing the task. So it's kind of like a desire state, but it's still wholesome. And then there's other ones where it's more like relaxed, where I'm just like laying in bed, like when I'm falling asleep, for example, and I'm really relaxed, and it's like not desirous at all. It's just completely like nothing to do, nowhere to go, just relaxing. Um, and then I become very sleepy very quickly. And kind of like I've been, instead of just having it where I'm like I'm just focusing on having it like be wholesome, I've kind of been focusing to try and make it like become one of these like specific kinds of wholesome states. And
Mhm.
sometimes like when I just try to gladden the mind, like if I have to get something done and I like to like a wholesome state where I'm like so detached from getting it done, like I won't have any motivation to do it anymore. And then like that can kind of backfire on me. And then like I might have negative thoughts like, hey, you should do this and stuff, which I know it's like more negative thoughts, but
Right.
I guess
So
it's
it's a slight difference in the positive thought. Like, I can do this. Or, wow, this is fun. I can do this email right now. I've already thought about it too much, and now it's time to do it and lickety split, no problem.
yeah, yeah,
It still
exactly,
has the
exactly.
attitude of being a winner, though.
Yes, that's it. That's it. It's that attitude. Like I still have the winner mindset. I'm out of the victimhood and the dukkha. I'm into the satisfaction, and I'm enjoying whatever's happening. Um, I noticed as well. I have this thing with whenever I try to do like long formal sits, so like more than 30 minutes, I fall asleep, and so I was trying to
Except that
cultivate.
nowadays you know that you were falling asleep. In the old days when you were doing it, you thought that was good meditation.
True, true.
I know,
That's
I've
a very
been
good
there,
point.
done that.
Um, but I was trying to like in my meditations bring in some of this, I guess, motivated kind of desirous form of satisfaction so that I could like stay alert during the meditations. And sometimes it works, sometimes it backfires. Sometimes I'll go like too much effort and then I'll get stressed out. Like I'll be very awake, but I won't be satisfied anymore. So I'll be
Ah,
like super
have you ever
stressed.
heard of the middle path?
Yeah, yeah, you mentioned it a few
Yeah,
times.
exactly so. So we need to find that balance point, and that's what you're discovering now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But the fulcrum for that balance point is the positive winner's attitude. That's what keeps that. But recognize that when we say middle way and balance, think about a teeter totter. You know what is a teeter totter? That may
Yeah,
not
it's
be
like
the
a
word that you, right?
seesaw.
What the kids play on, right? Okay. Now, if we kept that teeter totter completely level, 100% level, 100% of the time, what value is it?
Zero. Right.
Zero, right. No, the teeter-totter is not just designed for, but mimics the reality of up and down and up and down and up and down. And so the balance has to become a dynamic balance. That balance, then, the middle path becomes a dynamic balance that I sometimes use with the phrase sea legs. Have you ever heard me talk about sea legs?
Yeah, like staying balanced on a boat in like a storm, like you're
Right,
standing.
or just in heavy weather. Right. And
Okay.
the deck is not flat and solid. It's like a teeter-totter. And normal land is like flat and level, but on the deck of the ship, it's back and forth. And how's your balance? Are you going to be careening into things because you don't have sea legs, or are you going to be able to stay in balance even though things are going up and down in your life?
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, but now we can actually begin to regulate that. That you probably have done this. You can stand on that teeter-totter with your legs and balance it, but you can also lean and make the teeter-totter lean back and forth. The reality is that you're in charge of this. Your
Mm-hmm.
attitude goes up and down, and you can begin to see that too. And the best way to do it is the recognition of the wholesome attitude, whether there is something to do actually in reality, or that there's nothing to do in the actual reality. In both cases, you got it.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
got it.
Yeah, I feel
That's
like
the winner's
I
attitude.
certainly I feel like I certainly like the latter perspective as like nothing to do, but I like it because I strongly crave just like being kind of lazy and not doing anything. So I like it like because I feel like it in a sense gives me like permission to do that, to like let go of like my rules, like you said, like I should be productive, like that's a rule in my head. Like it gives me, I guess, permission to let that go. But obviously, like there is a time when I do need to like handle these things, at which point I need to have this other kind of attitude where I'm like very energized and active and stuff, but still satisfied. Like if I'm exercising outside, like going for a jog, like
Mhm.
I'm probably going to go for a jog after this call, for example. And it just came into my head, and I was thinking about it, and I was like, man, I don't want to do that. You know, I'd rather just stay in bed or and just like stay inside and just relax. And then I was like, well, you know, if I can make it so that my attitude is happy and it's also enjoying, you know, the moving the body through space, like that kind of feeling, like
Mhm.
I'm enjoying that type of activity, that type of pattern of sensations in reality. It's like it's kind of like it's like I need to be able to have be able to keep that winner's attitude despite these different like modes that I have to be in at different times in the day and in the week.
Right. And in fact, that's exactly why we want to learn by practicing and by developing the skill in solitude. In
Okay.
our case, those 6 times a day is when we want to keep coming back to that, developing that right noble attitude with
Mm-hmm.
gladdening the mind and breathing deep and really enjoying doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So that
Mm-hmm.
then we can take that enjoyment of doing nothing and put it to good work,
Gotcha. Gotcha. Gotcha.
rather
Gotcha.
than having to lose that feeling of joy and satisfaction and doing nothing, losing it because now I've got to go work. And so it's okay to feel bad because I've got to work now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah. That's the thing is for me, it's like it's like transitioning between these different modes of being. That tends to be a part where I'll really lose my balance and the teeter totter will fall into unwholesomeness
hmm
and I'll get off track. Is Yeah, it's going
Well,
from like
that's okay. And it's okay
that's
for you
yeah.
to notice it and to make that your friend. It's new education material.
Right, right.
Okay. And you say, aha, these are the times when I'm most likely to lose it. So you look at the environment, you look at the situation, and you'll note that saying, aha, next time when these set of circumstances arise, I'm going to keep it together. You can actually plan on advance. You can actually think about scenarios that would be really tough nookie, really tough going, and think about how you're going to handle that wisely, comfortably, and happily. Rehearse. So you can rehearse with nothing to do, and everything is okay and easy going. Then we can rehearse with work, and then we can rehearse in, let us say, the dry run of a nuclear attack, or what they call in art a dress performance, a dress rehearsal. You don't have an audience yet, it's not real yet, but you're going through every motion for rehearsal. Okay, this is basically what we're doing. We're rehearsing how to play Robert's Song of Life.
I like that. That actually, that makes a next time. Like I go for a run outside, and I end up feeling really tired and miserable and not having a good time on it. I can think to myself, next time I do this, I'm going to make sure to think like this type of wholesome thought. I'm going to be thinking about,
But let's not do it in the sense
I,
of next time.
okay.
From what I gather, you're talking about you're out on a run and all of a sudden you recognize you don't like it.
Yeah.
And now you're planning for the future.
How do I stop that? Like, yeah, how do I stop that happening
That's
again?
exactly right. That you got the answer. How do you stop? By stopping. You just stop. In this case, the running. Stop the running. Just stop. If you don't mind, I'll quote a sutta for you. This is in the Sutta Nipata, and the Sutta Nipata is well known with the scholars to be some of the most ancient stuff. That much of the Sutta Nipata was either memorized early in the Buddhist career or actually written down already in the Buddhist career. That in fact, in the Anguttara Nikaya, it refers to the Sutta Nipata by name and sutta name, which is very interesting. So this is very, very old. All right. And the story is that the guy is running. He's out for a run. And then the thought occurs to him, why am I running when I could walk? And while he was walking, he noticed a shade tree, and he says, why should I continue to walk in the sun when I can stand in the shade of that tree? And when he goes to the shade of the tree, he decides, oh, well, why should I stand when I can sit down and lean on the tree? And while he was sitting there, he was saying, well, why don't I go ahead and lay down? Okay, so now you're out on a run and you're asking how to stop. Well, what you can do is you can stop running and start walking. And then you can stop walking and stand. And then you can sit down on the curb and say, I don't have to stand up and start running again until I like it. Right then and there. Okay. Remember, everything that we're talking about here has to do with immediate, right here, right now. That's all there is. And here you're saying, next time I'm on a run, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
And
like
you're on a
thinking
run
how
right now.
right.
So if you don't like on the run right now, stop the running. Slow down.
Just like change my environment into something where I can gladden the mind, where I am able to start thinking wholesome again and get back on
Right.
track.
In that scenario or in that circumstance, we could say become secluded from the running for a little while so that you get your mind back together.
Right, right, right. That makes a lot of sense.
Get away from
That
it
makes a lot
all.
of sense.
So if you're not enjoying what you're doing, the first thing to do is to stop doing it. So an example of that is you're angry and you're yelling at somebody. And as soon as you wake up to that, the first thing to do is to stop, which means to shut your mouth, to shut up. And that's the first thing to do is to stop talking. So for
That's
you
a
out
really
on
good.
the run, the first thing you do is you stop running.
Gotcha. Yeah,
Yeah. It's simple, isn't it?
it is. It's very simple.
Go back into
It's
seclusion from the running or whatever and get your mind back together again.
right. We enter the seclusion kind of then and there, so that we can recollect ourselves, and then we can exit seclusion with our improved mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm following.
Mm. Well, Laurent is calling, so I'll talk to him after I talk to you. I was already on a call this morning, and some new person called, and then he didn't hang around. So uh, we'll hear from them later. So I think in the background you can hear the Skype music.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can hear it. Yeah, it was interesting. It started ringing, and I was just entering seclusion like mid call. It's kind of a
Uh-huh.
funny like example, but I felt like I was getting like I was like worrying about like what to say to you next, and I was like, and that was like stressing me out. So I like closed my eyes and did some deep breathing to like kind of slow down my like fast-paced energy, my um desirous, driven, stressy like energy, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Go to like a slower pace, kind of slow it down and just like get back to wholesomeness.
Ah, ah,
It's
ah.
crazy. Like the thing that I feel like really trips me up a lot is that sometimes wholesomeness is like it's not the same formula every time. Like it has to be like different for each circumstance. Like sometimes
Mm-hmm.
it's slowing down, and then other times, like if I'm really sad, like I need to actually like I know you described it before. I described it this way. I said like pump myself up, like get excited, get like hyped up. Like um I need to like I need to like actually like kind of actively kind of feel like I'm creating the feelings of pity and sukha and really yeah, get a lot of like piti going and just be like really excited and hyped up and stuff. And then at other times when I'm stressed, it's like the opposite of that and I'm trying to let the air out of the balloon, so to speak, and like relax.
Mm-hmm.
It's um I don't know what to ask. It's just it's kind of crazy. Like I was, it's I think my problem might be like confusion. Maybe like I get confused as to knowing which one I should be doing at a given time. Like I'm like, should I create happiness or should I like try to let go of stress? You know, like which is the right one to do at a given time. I don't know if you have any.
I would say that they're the same or they're similar. Um, you sound like Tarzan swinging on the vine, saying, "Should I grab hold of that other vine before I let go of this one?" And the answer is one smooth motion.
One smooth motion.
One smooth motion of letting go of the dukkha and picking up the sukha. Not much to it. Think about a conveyor belt and whatever product there's on it. Some some of it is good and you want it, and some of it is bad. It could be tomatoes, or you're picking out the bad tomatoes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or it could be a trash, and you're looking for a particular thing, like, well, they separate metal with a magnet. But let us say you're looking for cardboard, or you're looking for paper and all of the other plastic and whatnot, right? Okay.
Mm.
So that's the way to do it, is begin to become selective in all of the trash that comes by in front of you, and let that take care of itself. In other words, if you see anxiety, then you can say with the right attitude, oh yeah, I see that anxiety. Hello, anxiety, my old friend. Right? So that's the whole way of looking at it, is that most people, they they're anxious and uptight, and they don't know it, but it still makes them miserable. And then when they see the uptight and the anxiety, now they really hate it, which just makes it more so because of the hatred. But when we see it as a learning tool, oh, okay, so right now in this circumstance, I get agitated. Let me cool, number one, right now that I'm seeing it, cool off. And then number two, examine what caused the anxiety, what kind of thoughts or what kind of circumstances they are. And so you can note that. I'm going to avoid that from now on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let us say that the guy has a dead daughter, and every time he has the dead daughter, when he had the dead daughter in the first place, he had to do all the funeral and all that kind of stuff, and so he really wasn't dealing with his grief. But later, now, every time he thinks about his daughter, he goes into a state of grief,
Mm-hmm.
and he's not even aware that that's what's going on. But when he goes into a state of grief, he also is not easy to be around for other people. And he's not even knowing that he's not around other people. He's in his own mind thinking about his daughter. So he visits a psychologist and they work that out. And the psychologist says, okay, you become aware of these thoughts about your daughter and set them aside. Now, whenever the daughter comes up, now the grief is going to be 10 times bigger than it was before, because he's aware of what he's doing. But slowly
Mm-hmm.
over time, he can say, no, I'm not going to think about her right now. I'm not going to wallow in this pity party of grief. I'm going to set her aside and go on with my life. Let dead daughters be dead in the past. Now, he will have that attitude 10 years after she dies. Why can't he have that attitude 10 days after she dies? Why does he have to keep going into this state of grief every time he thinks about her? Or why does it get more intense when he recognizes that that's what causes him to be miserable, is thoughts about his daughter? And it doesn't matter how many thoughts he has about his daughter, it's not going to bring her back. Better to forget all about it. And so now he's got a learning tool. Oh, thoughts about my daughter are dangerous. Let's not go there. Let's not go into her room. Let's not carry a photograph of her in my wallet. Let's put things
Mm-hmm.
in the past and set them aside and let them go.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know that there are many issues in our society will say, Dhammarato says that. Wow, what a heartless criminal he is. What,
Yeah.
to forget
So
all about my dead relatives? I mean, the Chinese are really going to come after me with that because of the ancestor worship and all of that kind of stuff. But I'm just using daughter as an example because it's actually true about any and everything that you lose.
yeah, yeah,
Any
and
and
like
everything.
I can relate to it, even though I haven't lost a child. Like I've lost plenty of things where I could still find myself thinking grieving thoughts and self-pitying thoughts, even years after the loss.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's like
And we
we do
feel
have to.
bad all over again for no reason at all, other than we were not mindful of the kind of thoughts that we were having. We were not watching what we were doing.
Yeah, and I feel like we do have to be kind of like heartless to ourselves just a little bit.
If
In that, like,
reality is heartless, then absolutely we got to get real.
yeah, it's a good way of putting it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty heartless, to be honest. So yeah, I
And
agree
in
with you
fact,
there.
that heartful thing, another word for it is romantic. The age of romance or romantic. Okay, we romanticize everything. Do you know what that means? We try to make it, but we don't want to see it the way that it is. We want it to be better than that. We want all love stories to end happily ever after, and not one of them does. It's romantic
Yeah,
thinking that things want to work out. They don't work out. Somebody dies or somebody gets killed, either in court.
I like that romantic thinking. That's a good one.
Mhm.
Like superstitious thinking.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So
it's
that's heartful, right? So let's be heartless. Let's get real.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so that means let's put away the past. Let's not deal with it. We've talked about this before in the sense of remorse, remember? Because basically, one of my daughters is the bad deeds that I've done in my past.
Uh-huh.
And so I
Yes,
think
yeah.
about that daughter, I'm thinking about that wrong deed that I did. So my, but the reality is that I'm not like that. Not
Hmm.
now. I'm different. That's not my daughter. That's not me. Right? That's the whole idea of recognizing that you change. Going back to the story about the guy who was sad and unhappy because he lost his daughter, that she died. Guess what? Now he's not a dad. He's not a dad with a dead daughter. Stop being a dad. Be who you are now instead of trying
Mm,
to be what you used to be.
that's a really good point. Yeah, he's not a dad anymore. Yeah.
You're not a dad anymore. That's not who I am anymore. That you're something new now. Every moment you're brand new. Why should we follow the rules and the dictates of the past when I've got a brand new day?
Hmm. Yeah, I think a lot of it could to for me it has to do with worry. Like I'm worrying that if I don't if I don't stay in touch with the past, that I'm gonna fall for the same sort of traps again uh today. Like if I'm not thinking about it. And the really clear example that comes to mind is um unwholesome thoughts that are like ultimately unwholesome, but they seem wholesome on the surface. So there's like an
Mhm.
instant gratification from thinking them. The best
Right.
example that comes to mind is like angry thoughts. There's the instant gratification, but then there's the crash. There's the coming back down.
Precisely.
Yeah.
So when you become aware of those kind of things, that's when you could say, aha, there it is. You make note of it. As I have told many of the students, you put that on your don't do that list because you recognize with your new cost benefit analysis that it does not give you the benefit that you originally thought that it did.
Hmm.
That we don't get that much gratification, and we're going to have to put up with a whole lot of negative stuff. In other words, we got to pay for this lunch, and the payment is way more than the lunch is worth. And
Mm.
when we see that, we'll start saying, don't eat at that restaurant.
Yeah, yeah. It's like that. the advertising looks nice, but don't eat that because it costs too much. Yeah, when the bill comes, it's too much. That's
Right. When the bill
I
comes, it's
totally
too
understand.
much. That's the reality. The romantic only sees the delicious food and cannot see the bill coming.
It's like being like a child versus like an adult. Like as a child, like you just see everything as like romantic, but as an adult, behind that image, there's the reality, which is a lot more harsh.
Isn't that amazing? Yes, that's what growing up is all about, is the ability to weigh things out to see, is this worth it or not? And when you get good at that, that's wisdom itself.
Right, right, right. Yeah, like foresight. You're seeing
Hmm.
in the future what this is going to lead to, and you're getting a better judgment now in the present moment of if you should pursue this or not, because you see now where this leads.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And so you wind up then being in a what is called a win-win situation. You win, and so do the people around you. Everybody becomes a winner,
Right, right.
as opposed to criminals. They win, but everybody else loses. Then they figure out that, wait a minute, that win was not worth it.
Yeah, yeah,
So the ones
yeah.
who go around lose, lose, where everybody loses, we could call those people just stupid. And the problem with stupid people is they stay stupid. And most of the world is stupid
Mm. Yeah,
because
exactly. Yeah.
they don't do things that benefit themselves, and they don't do things that benefit other people.
One sec. I'll be right back. One sec.
Mm.
Yeah, so it's like becoming wise is like becoming the win-win person instead of the lose-lose, which is the stupid, or the win-lose, which is the criminal, or the helpless hapless is the lose-win. Yeah. Right, right,
You
right.
remembered. Excellent.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's kind of it's
Funny, I
cool.
left that one out.
Yeah, it's like it's cool to see like how these different states of mind, like we have like the kind of like the obvious like stereotyped versions of like a criminal and then like a member of the like Democratic Party or um what the example was. But then we have like really like micro level versions of these kind of, I feel like, in ourselves on like a more moment to moment basis. Like we have like them as kind of reactive like like a pattern where I'll react to a certain event or thought or something in like a certain way. Like I have like sometimes I'll have like a negative thought and I'll react to it um based on like the causes and conditions, like in a like a helpless kind of victimy way where I'll be
Mhm.
like okay, Mr. Negative Thought, the world is all terrible. You're right. And then I'll take on that. And the result is that I be like reborn as like a victim. And
Ah,
then
that's the whole point, though, is that you can, in fact, see that the world is, in fact, quite a mess, and see it almost like a joke. That the world is actually quite funny. It's ridiculous how many stupid people there are going around acting stupid and expecting something new to happen. It's a joke. It's funny. Can you see
right.
it? If you can see
Yes,
the
yeah.
humor in it, then you're the winner. You don't have to come back to the victim's position of really ain't it awful. Now, our ain't it awful is humorous. It's ironic. Ain't it awful about
Right.
how bad things are? I mean,
Yeah, now
have you seen what Putin is doing in the Ukraine? I mean, ain't it awful?
it's funny we're like talking about these like human tragedies and like smiling. It's quite absurd. Ain't it awful?
Right. Well, we can sit here and be glum and be blue. Is that going to help either the Ukrainians or Putin?
No, not
No, not
really.
at all. No. So it's our choice that here now we can be joyful. Never mind that the world is a terrible place for terrible people. That's not the world I'm in. Let the terrible
Mm.
place for the terrible people stay terrible, and I'm going to sit back and enjoy the show. You've heard in Shakespeare plays, there's got various kind of plays. Like there's some of them that are tragedies. That in fact, most of his history plays are real tragedies, like Macbeth and Hamlet and whatnot like that. But then there's the other kind, which would be like a Midsummer Night's Dream and those kind of plays, which are a mixture of comedy and tragedy, a tragic comedy. And then there's the kind that are just a farce. Okay, everything is just funny. Well, guess what? That is an attitude for those in the audience. You can either see what's going on as a tragedy, you can see it as a tragic comedy, or you can see it as a farce. So it's better to see the world as a farce. It's farcical. It's
Mhm.
ridiculously funny. It's so bad that it's funny.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's so bad. It's funny.
Yeah, ain't
Yeah,
it awful how bad the world is?
yeah. And it's like, I feel like it's like we're powerless to like do things about it, but we can laugh at how powerless we are, and now we have some power.
Ah,
And
but
that
here
is
is
handy.
the power. In fact, yes, I was just about to get to that, and power is a good enough word to use to get into it, and that is that the power is I don't have to get sucked into the tragedy. Yes,
Hmm.
the world is a tragedy, but it's not my tragedy. It's not mine. The world is not mine. Let it be what it is. Let it be my entertainment.
Yeah,
So
let
we,
me step back and be entertained by it instead of being confused and offended and
Mhm.
angered and all that stuff.
And that's the way that we were raised. And we were raised by people who were also stuck in it, offended, confused, didn't know what to do, but were surely ordered around to go do something. Everybody has the idea that things are so bad, they're so messed up that we got to get mobilized. Everybody's go get something to do. Let's go fix this.
Hmm. Hmm.
And in that environment, we wind up all being Keystone Cops.
What does that mean?
Oh, you don't know about the Keystone Cops? Oh, the Keystone Cops were, it was a comedy back in the time of silent movies, way before your time. Okay. And in these silent movies, these police, uh, the Keystone Cops would run around and bang into each other, bang into the side of their truck, fall off the truck, all kinds of things. Supposedly, while some piano player was playing some honky tonky music that was funny. Okay,
Yeah.
all right, and so that's what the world is. The world is actually we are all um, officers in the Corps of Keystone Cops. We got to go fix the world, and we got to go do it. And everybody's in a hurry, and so we keep running into each other and falling down because we're all trying to fix the world. But nobody's really quite sure exactly what it is that needs fixing in the world because there's so much to get fixed.
Yeah, yeah. And it's like we don't know what's going on, but we're trying to like solve it and stuff. But
Uh-huh.
because we're like in the dukkha, we can't see clearly like what we're doing is leading to what, right? The wisdom, like we talked about, we don't have the ability to see that me fixing this is going to lead to this problem over here
Mm-hmm.
and this problem over here.
Exactly so. So the thing to do is to stop trying to get anything done and look at what's going on so that we can now get our own hardware straightened out rather than trying to fix the world. And when we recognize that the world is actually just okay the way that it is, that it's not a tragic situation, that the world is just fine. There has been dog eat dogs. There have been Russian tanks for a long time. Right? That's just how things are. And we can either enjoy it and enjoy the show and recognize that the world is just fine. Planet Earth has got no problems at all, in fact. The only problems that exist are the problems that humans think exist. And when you stop seeing everything as a problem, that as Achan Mahaboa has said, that the whole world is nothing but a toilet of shit. Knowing that the world is a toilet full of shit doesn't mean now that you have to go do something about a clogged toilet. You just walk away. You don't have to clean the toilet. That in fact you found it a toilet full of shit, leave it a toilet full of shit. It's not your problem. And you can walk away from it with the attitude of, wow, I'm glad I don't have to do that.
Yeah, true, true.
I don't have to fix the world. It ain't broken.
Yeah, or we can come in and try to fix it, but do it in a more intelligent way, where because we're not attached to what's happening in the world.
Yeah,
We've got
I
like,
know the intelligence will spread shit all over the place.
oh really? Oh, I guess I didn't have as much distance as I was thinking. With more distance, I would have seen that it's like not even worth it to engage with at all.
Yeah, there is always shit to do. I mean, there's always shit everywhere. But that's what life is. Everything you eat turns to shit. Isn't that marvelous? Yeah, I mean, isn't that wonderful that everything you eat turns to shit?
In a sense, yeah.
Yeah, because what would you look like if it didn't?
Good point. Very, very good point. We would be like 1% human, 90% shit. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, there is shit everywhere. So what? You're going to try to have a universe without it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that's how we get started, though, is by going back and getting into seclusion, getting away from all the shit and getting the mind straightened out. And then slowly, slowly, we start dealing with shit until we recognize we don't have to deal with this shit anymore.
Right, right, right. Yeah, so into seclusion, get into a wholesome state of mind. Then we leave seclusion and continue with that wholesome state of mind, and then we're
Go
not.
get our hands dirty again, and then
Yeah.
we watch what's happened. Okay, we go try to clean up some shit, and we wind up being covered with shit. We say, wait a minute, let me go into seclusion and clean this stuff off again. And we do that a half a dozen or more times, maybe 40 or 50, or maybe 400 or 500 times until we eventually stop dealing with that shit and just leave it as shit. Because all you're going to do is just get covered with shit. That's the
You're
only
just gonna
thing that's going to happen. Your choice.
yeah. Yeah. It sucks as well because I suppose, I mean, it doesn't. I mean, this is me this is me covering myself in the shit, and I do see that, but I feel like I have like compassion for like the people who live in the shit, and you want to like
Oh,
help them out of it.
absolutely.
But
And they deserve a smile.
yeah,
They deserve a helping hand, but they're going to try to grab you by the arm and pull you into their shit.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
They will
Um,
do that. That's what most compassion is. Most
Dhammarato,
compassion is being grabbed by the arm and pulled into the shit.
I have a question. Um, so basically, as my immediate reaction as soon as I myself am not covered in feces is that I want to help other people. That's like the
Uh-huh.
immediate kind of reaction. And I think that's pretty normal, I guess. Like it is like to want to help others. It's like the compassion. It's like now I'm not suffering. Oh, no, there are other people suffering. Now I need to help them. That's also unwise then. Even though
Well, look at it in the sense of gift giving. That you can't right now pull them out of their shit, but at least you can give them a gift. The
Mhm.
smallest gift you can give is really quite valuable, depending upon the circumstances, and that is the gift of a smile. Yeah, just the gift of a smile. That will help a lot. The next one, which is a little bit more difficult to do, is to give them the gift of joy. Get them to relax. Tell them a joke. Get them to stop thinking about whatever it was that covered them with shit. Because the analogy is there that shit is actually old. It's in the past. Shit's something that needs to be buried. It's like the dead.
Hmm.
Okay. So that's the way of looking at it is that we need to get someone, if we have compassion, is to get them out of their past future shit and get them into the here now. Start
Mhm.
dealing with it, which is exactly what we did with you when you were out on a run, feeling miserable, and saying, well, next time. All right. And what did I do? I said, no, let's go back to the right now. So that's the mudita, is to bring them into the present moment.
Right, right. You bring them out of all their mental shit and you bring them into the present. Yeah.
You don't wish them into being happy. You have to have skills of walking into that fire and not get burned,
Right. So that
and
you
take
can.
your fire hose in there and spread some joy around.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that takes a skill. And that skill is to develop in seclusion,
Right.
because you can
Right.
put out your own fires and get yourself into a good state. Then you could begin to learn how to do that with other people. You can learn to tease someone who's angry in just the right way to get them to see that this is not useful.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really good point. Because then now they're laughing and smiling. They're not more angry. You didn't go overbalanced with it, where they're now more angry that you teased them. You hit just the middle way, right? Just the right amount
Mm-hmm.
of teasing, and now they're smiling, and it's actually brought them out. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, it's that middle way thing. Yeah. That
Get
makes.
them to look at the humor of the situation.
I gotcha. I gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like saying, yeah, that bank must be run by a bunch of idiots. So you can agree with them. That's one of the things that helps get people out of anger, is just, okay, I agree with you. Ain't it awful? Ain't
Ain't it awful? Ain't it
it
awful?
awful?
Yeah. 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 And that's actually like the more kind thing in that situation is to agree with them and say like, yeah, you're right. Basically, like let them be right, and then they'll be happy that they're right, and that will make them like more into the present moment and stuff because now they're like
Mhm.
happier and stuff. Yeah, that's
Ah,
cool.
That's great. Okay, well, let's finish now, and I'll go off to see if Laurent's still on the tube.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dhammarato. This has been really helpful.
Yeah.
Once again,
Great.
I'll call you again in a couple days.
I like that.
But, you know, awesome. Great.
I like to see you, Robert. I'm really enjoying you.
Thank you. Thank you. I enjoy our company too. It's wonderful. Thank you very much.
Okay. See you later.
All right. Ciao.